Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 365. Before I go on, I want to mention that I'm going to be away from my computer for about 10 days, so I won't be uploading any new videos during that time. I won't have the ability to make videos, but I will respond to comments and stuff if you want to add anything. And please feel free to enjoy all the videos I've uploaded previously. A good time to go back and explore some old videos, some new openings, things like that. All interesting master games. So, if you're in the U.S., have a happy Thanksgiving holiday. Okay, so let's get on with the game. My opponent played d4, and I went with d5, just going for the classical queen's pawn setup. And now instead of c4, the queen's gambit, or the knight f3 line, which is very popular these days as well. He just plays e3, a very quiet setup. And, it doesn't promise a whole lot for white, but it doesn't really give away much either. And you see white maintains an even position for quite a while. Maybe e6 is not the best response here, but it's hard to know exactly what to play against these quiet setups. I just want to get something solid and get into the middle game. So knight d2. The knight on f3 is more active, so knight d2, it's blocking in the bishop. I guess it's going to go to b3 here. And I strike immediately with c5, and he supports the center with c3. And you can see, it's about even, maybe slightly in favor of black. I've managed to gain a little space. And the chess engine is recommending the move b6 to try and hold on to this slightly bigger center that I've got here. So interesting way to play. We're pretty much out of the opening book here. I played the move c takes, and you can always question this kind of move. It's often preferable to leave the tension, but I didn't want to get a completely closed position. I wanted to make sure there were at least some open lines for my pieces. And so that's why I went ahead and took. I just find these kind of positions more comfortable to play. So not objectively the best move there. Bishop e7, so I'm just going to develop for a while. Knight g to f3 and h6. H6, I guess I'm keeping the knight out of this square, but I have to question that move. There's not a lot gained by that move, h6. In fact, you see the advantage increased for white after that move. So kind of a lazy move there. Okay, he castled, I castled, and knight e5. He hops in with knight e5. Probably the right idea. So I have the idea of putting a knight here on this square, and I want to get a bishop behind it to support it. Right now, if I jump in, it can just be exchanged off. So that's why I'm playing the move b6 here. My opponent goes b4. Interesting plan to expand on the queen side. So, before that move, because of my somewhat imprecise moves here, white has a decent opening advantage, and he should probably continue with moves like queen e2, knight f3, these kind of moves, this d knight to f3 or the queen to e2. Just developing his pieces to active squares, opening up a line for his bishop. That's the way to play. He starts in on this queenside expansion, which is interesting, but not best. So anyway, I put my bishop where I planned. He continues, and now you see it's swung back to where it's slightly in black's favor again. So the engine does not approve of this plan. Knight b d7, just want to counter his knight here. Plays f4, which I was expecting. A lot of times when white has this solid setup, the idea is to attack on the king side. First of all, this pawn really cements this knight in here. If I ever exchange it off, then he's going to have a real solid pawn there on e5. And but the other idea is to also continue to advance the pawn to f5 and disrupt my center here. So an interesting way to play. Like the Stonewall attack, I guess. Okay, so f4, I played rook c8. I'm going after this weakness over here. I was trying to look for weaknesses to attack in my opponent's position. He goes bishop b2, defending it. And I went knight e4 here. So this was part of my plan, and he hasn't stopped me from playing it. He decides to trade it off. But then I have this interesting passed pawn here, which actually turns out to be a factor later in the game. He goes bishop to b5. Okay, he's got to move the bishop somewhere. He attacks the knight. And so I exchange off his knight at this point, and now he has this strong outpost pawn on e5. And, there's potentially a dangerous attack brewing, but this bishop is very inactive over here. and this bishop is on the wrong side of the board. So he needs to kind of reroute his pieces to get a kingside attack going. He plays bishop d5. I play bishop d5. Okay, bishop d5 is somewhat criticized by the chess engine. Although you see, all these moves keep it within the range of about even. So the engine is preferring queen d5. Interesting idea. I didn't really think of it, but queen d5. I'm actually threatening to push this pawn with a mating attack on g2, or bishop to h4 coming out this way. Okay, so I give the advantage back. But my idea here, just to explain, is I want to try and control the c4 square and prevent him from pushing this pawn forward and liberating his bishop. The thing is, he has a path to liberate his bishop, bringing it back this way. And the chess engine is suggesting an interesting idea here of pushing on with a5 and making sense of his queenside expansion by creating some weaknesses over here, a5, and exchanging off. Also, queen e2 is still a good idea, or queen g4, activating his pieces. Okay, he went bishop a6. I went rook c7. He's chasing my rook, and then he dropped back to b5. And I went bishop g5 here, trying to get my bishop onto a more active square. I thought this was a good diagonal. And I'm starting to control some of the squares in front of this pawn, and I'm thinking about maybe being able to push it in the right circumstances. So he gets queen g4 in now. And interesting, bishop d2. It's not an idea I thought of, but that makes a lot of sense. He's got this. He's got weaknesses. He's advanced his pawns, and he's got weaknesses back here in his home camp. And a bishop on d2 would support the pawn coming forward and also control the queening square of e1. So a pretty interesting idea there. I just pushed on with e3 immediately. So yeah, not as good. Needed to prepare it a little better. So he probably can counter this in some way. He played rook a e1, putting the rook in front of it. It looks like queen e2 is the way to best stop the pawn. And then I would have to try and figure out how to use this bishop to chase the queen away. Okay, rook a e1 was played. Still about even, okay. f5. I guess I wanted to chase the queen away, and I was sort of expecting him to take en passant, which he did. Yeah, I guess that's the best move there, and take with the rook. So I figured exchanging off this rook wouldn't be bad for me. It brings my queen over here and more support for the pawn. So rook takes f6 should have been played anyway. He played h4. Okay, and this is just a mistake. At this point, white goes down material because this pawn is not really supported adequately. In fact, I could just take it. If I take and queen takes, it sets a little trap. Just to show you, queen takes, and then rook here is with check. So he loses the queen. So I could have just taken there. And that's the most direct, the most correct way, and the most, and it's the best way to take advantage of this pawn to h4 move. I did the moves in the reverse order, which still, it gives me an edge. I take the rook off with check. He takes back, and then I grab the pawn. So still have an edge. It's just interesting that I could use that tactical trick to just grab the pawn directly and not even exchange rooks. Okay, bishop takes h4. He played bishop to d3. That's a reasonable move, getting on this diagonal. Maybe he's going to threaten, not that diagonal, this light squared diagonal here. Maybe he's going to threaten checkmate with queen to g3. So I wanted to block that, and I played queen g5. It looks like bishop f2 check right here is a good move. I play that in a bit. Okay, queen g5 is second choice, so I'm not giving away the advantage at least. He dropped back here, and then I saw this bishop f2 check idea. But apparently the rook f7 move is even stronger, so let's check this out. Rook f7. Why is this so good? Rook takes, king takes. Okay, because it takes away the option of sacking the exchange. When I play my bishop to f2 check, he sacrifices the exchange. If he trades here, now I'm threatening bishop f2 check. Let's see, the engine says bishop back to a3. I guess white has no moves. That's what's hard to see is that's not it. Bishop to a3. What's hard to see is you're giving white a free move, and you have to see that he has no useful moves, and you still get this check-in, which is very dangerous. If the king goes to the h-file, it's checkmate. If the king goes this way, it's still checkmate. Bishop takes, yes, it's still checkmate. That's a nice checkmate with the two bishops. Okay, and so the queen has to sacrifice itself. So that's the most accurate way to play this. Rook f7. Very interesting idea. So I saw this, and I saw that if the king moves, it's checkmate, so he's forced to give up the exchange here. Now I have a pretty good edge. And let's see, queen takes f2. Yeah, that's what he played. Defending the g2 square, by the way, which where there's mate threatened. Okay, now rook f7, trying to chase the queen away. The queen goes to e2. And just bishop takes g2 or bishop f3 are the moves here. Somehow, at this point, I should be just winning. I mean, I'm only up the exchange, but my pieces are all poised for the attack around his king, so I should be thinking of how to put him away here. So bishop, let's look at bishop f3 first. Bishop f3 hits the queen. I thought about this move, actually, because there's a pin on the pawn. The pawn can't take, and the queen can't take because bishop is protected by the rook. And the queen needs to stay in touch with the g2 square, so it doesn't leave too many squares. Queen c2 is apparently best. And then what's the follow-up? Queen to e3 check. Ah, right. So the queen gets to penetrate. So that's the best way to play, I think. So I didn't spot the follow-up. I saw bishop f3, but I didn't spot the follow-up. You chase the queen away and then get your queen to e3, and you've got a really killer invasion there. Okay, I played queen f4. I was just kind of maneuvering around, trying to find a way through. But you see, I've let my opponent off the hook, and now with c4, he gets counterplay. And after a few moves, he even equalizes. Apparently, I need to stay on this diagonal and maintain these threats. I drop back here. And if he were to have pushed on with c5, you'll see it's actually, he's gotten back in the game. It's completely equal at that point. But he played bishop to c3. And I went queen g5. Still, I'm still just kind of poking around here. Haven't figured out a plan by which I'm going to break through. He plays bishop d2, hitting my queen. Queen to f6. You know, he's just covering all these squares. And it's just hard to find a good way to deal with this. Okay, bishop to e4 was played. And now queen takes d4 check. Ah, okay, so this is the moment right here where he gives the game back to me. So what could he play here? Queen e3? I guess, you know, you keep throwing the ball back into your opponent's court in these positions where you have the edge. And well, that's an interesting move. It defends the pawn, and the bishop is still guarding the f1 square. So all of these squares are covered, and I really can't penetrate easily. And now, what, bishop c8 is a try here. Maybe the idea is to maneuver the bishop around this way, get it back on an active diagonal. I had the hope when I placed the bishop here that I'd be able to push my pawn forward and come in maybe on the h-file at some point. But I never was able to get this move in. He's really kind of clamped down on it with the queen and the pawn here. I can't really break through. So a difficult position, but he makes my job easier by playing bishop to e4. And now I have this check. And he's in big trouble. King went to h1, queen back to f6, bishop to f3, defending, and e5. Now I finally get this pawn pushed, which that was the big clamp on my position, was this e-pawn. So I've opened up the diagonal for my bishop. Gets queen e4 in, and he really wants his bishop over on this square so he can threaten checkmate or something. At least a nasty check over there. But it'll take him a while to do that kind of maneuvering. Anyway, I played bishop f5, hitting his queen, chasing it off that diagonal. Queen went to a8 check. I thought this was going to be harmless. King here to h7, and bishop to e1. And I push on with e4. Now, yeah, I also have, in addition to mating ideas, I also have this idea of just pushing the pawn forward. Now, I was expecting him to take. Bishop takes. Let's just take a look at that. Bishop takes. Bishop takes. Queen takes with check. Queen g6. Yeah, this would just go into an endgame, which is winning for me here. Because my rook can round up these pawns, which are all on light squares. His bishop can start attacking my pawns, but eventually I should win this endgame. Okay, he went bishop h5, hitting my rook. And I went over here with the rook, getting it, cancel that. Went to d7, putting the rook on an open file. Maybe I had ideas of coming here, although once again these bishops are covering all these key squares. It's difficult to penetrate somehow. Queen e8. And I play my rook e7. Defending the pawn and chasing the queen away, I thought. He went queen to c6. And now I didn't want to trade and give him this idea of a passed pawn here that might be difficult to stop. So I just left my queen where it was and pushed on with e3. And he should probably just trade here, but I think I have a winning edge. He played queen f3, coming back to defend. I push on with e2. Goes king g1. Let's see, queen to d4 check. Yeah, there's no point in coming to that square, so he just has to go back. And now g6. And this traps the bishop. The bishop has no squares to go to. And my bishop is loose here. It's interesting. So what does the chess engine say? Yeah, I mean, the chess engine says go on with king h2 or a5. Because I'm not really threatening to take that bishop. Because after I take his bishop, he takes mine, and it goes with check. So, okay, this is not as good as I thought. Well, it's still a huge advantage for black, but I have to be a little more careful. So how about if I just move my bishop somewhere like here? Yeah, it's still a big advantage. I mean, he can maneuver his bishop out, but he's got to move his queen. Yeah, you know, it's a complicated game. It goes on. I mean, there's a stable advantage for black, which is winning, but you still have to find the way to win. And in this case, I got my some help from my opponent where he played g4, and that opened up this diagonal. So it's kind of counterattacking my bishop. But after this move, well, he played a couple more moves, but then he resigned. Because there's nothing going, the queen can't move, and he's going to be mated in 5, according to the engine. So I would probably find that. Without queens on the board, I'd certainly find some way to win. Okay, so I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you when I get back.